afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eric Coffin from HRA Advisories. It's November 12th. I'm here with Mike Konnert, who's the CEO of Vizsla Resources. That is the dog, right? Am I right about that?
That's right. It's the copper-colored hunting dog.
That's what I thought. Okay, well, as a little inside joke, if he ever watches this, the stock was mentioned to me several months back, and I was sure it was a Rob McLeod deal because Rob has 6 of them.
Yeah.
He's fanatical about them.
I only have one.
Yeah, they're beautiful dogs. So Vizsla recently announced a transaction, a very large transaction. You're essentially picking up an entire silver district in Mexico, including a currently operating mining operation. It's mining permits, all the EDO license, everything's there, basically, the infrastructure. As my subscribers know, I'm not a silver bug. There are very, very few silver deals that I follow. The only one I follow very closely and have for years is Silvercrest and its predecessor. There's a couple of reasons for that. One of course, being management, but the other thing being that the Las Chispas project and the Santa Elena project before it, both of them were by the standards of your average silver operation in Mexico, very high grade. The other thing that both of those had, and that this project that Vizsla's just picked up has, is relatively speaking fairly high gold grades. I like that combination. One of very high overall precious metal grades, but I like seeing the higher gold grades because gold you generally have higher recoveries and it's a bit more stable generally than silver. So I find that's a nice combination. Now this is a pretty big deal. It stretches out over 6 years, isn't it?
6 years, that's right. Yeah.
And it's, they would basically be buying a mining company, so the big ticket at the end of the day is fairly large, but for my purposes, and I believe your purposes too, really, it's the first 24 months you've already made the first payment, and then there's another payment in a year, I guess?
That's right, September 2020.
Now, you've just done initial sampling. I mean, one of the things that's interesting about this district is that although it's been around for a long time, there's an operating mine, there's obviously been ones in the past, there's been very little modern exploration done, and that's really your twist on this. Mm-hmm. Vizsla will be doing large-scale drilling and sampling that's really never been undertaken here before.
That's right. The way that we look at it almost is if it's a 2-year due diligence period on the purchase of an entire silver district, silver camp in probably one of the last to be consolidated districts in Mexico. So it's a very unique opportunity. We can explore for 2 years, convince ourselves in the market that there's enough high grade basically to justify the purchase of a mill, tailings, power, roads, HEDO agreements, permits, everything you'd need essentially to go into production and be a producing silver district in Mexico. Not just similar to the San Dimas district, which is just 80 kilometers up the road.
And this district, Panuco, it's got a long history. There's about 20 veins that are known right now?
Yeah, there's 20 known veins, and the reason that they're known is because they're outcropping and they've been mined for 4 centuries. Right. There's really never been an effort to discover or under some entities covered veins or flatline structures. So there's 20 known large veins, about 75 total cumulative kilometers of veins running through the property that we have under option. That's a lot
of target. I mean, that's essentially an entire district. And of course today you put out your first set of sampling results last week. They were very good, some amazing high grade in and around the workings where the vendor is mining, doing their smallish 400 or 500 ton a day operation. I don't know how much they're actually pushing through the mill.
Yeah.
But today's results, which I found interesting, came from 4 or 5 other places well away from where the vendor's been working. Mm-hmm. Most of it not even on the same regional vein, much less anywhere near the workings. Virtually everything that you reported today was also from veins that have seen no drilling. they're essentially completely virgin in that sense. I don't know. Do you want to rattle off a couple? I mean, I'm holding it.
Sure. I mean, it's there's a number of smallish, half a meter to 3 meter intercepts over a kilo as high as 4.2 kilogram silver equivalent over half a meter. And now these intercepts are, last week we announced multiple kilo intercepts at the San Carlos mine at various different underground levels of the San Carlos mine, which is about 50 meters away from the El Coco mill that we have under option. But now this batch of samples results are different because they're 6 kilometers away from that San Carlos mine at the furthest vein away. So it shows that we truly do have high grade mineralization over the district, over at least 6 kilometers, and over the coming weeks and months we'll be sampling further out from the known mining areas right now.
And one thing I think is worth noting too, because when you look at a lot of the districts in Mexico, when you look at silver grades of operating or potential or exploration projects, a lot of those are, you're basically well into the epithermal system, and you're normally dealing with equivalents that are gold, silver, lead, zinc, copper. I noticed that your silver equivalent grades are strictly silver and gold, and you have as of yet anyway, when you're sampling, there's very little base metals apparent.
For the most part, it seems that we're high in the system. The Cordon de Oro, which we call the corridor of gold, or actually it's gold dominant, which is not the case for the rest of the veins that we sample, but in some areas we've started to encounter very small amounts of base metals, but I think we still have a lot of the system left.
Yeah, no, I mean, I consider that a good, aside from the fact that I'd rather just see the silver being gold silver equivalent. I mean, you're clearly pretty high in this epithermal system if you're not really bringing in the base metals at all yet. And the other thing too, that Panuco, like most of the long-lived mining areas in Mexico, where usually where you haven't seen recent mining, but I mean, you've got an active mine on one of the 22 veins, but even in that active mine, the vendors have not gone below the water table.
Yeah, and that's the opportunity I think for us. We kind of divide our next drilling plans into two different separate opportunities. One is revisiting what's underneath the historic workings, underneath the water table, which you'll see. We put out a news release on San Carlos. That's an opportunity underneath the water table. The other one you might see in the future is La Pipa, which is underneath the water table as well. And these are old workings on the Animas vein, which has by far been the most productive vein pretty much for the whole district for 400 some odd years. But now these other ones that we've just put news out on today, the Cordon de Oro, Napoleon, Descubridora, some of these other workings that we've sampled very high silver equivalent on over good widths. They've never been drilled. They offer new opportunities for us to go and drill this in the future. So we're very confident that we're going to be moving into some very exciting drill targets over the coming months here.
And I think it's obviously going to vary depending on elevation of a particular set of workings or your target, but your water table is not that deep. I mean, you're not drilling to the center of the earth here. We're talking 100 meters or something.
Exactly, yeah.
So there's lots of room to grow this, and you're thinking. I know you've got a crew down there. You've had them down there for a couple of months. You're probably, I'm expecting we're going to see more of these kind of high-grade results coming. But when you start drilling, the idea is you'll probably start from the surface because you're really not that deep with most of these things.
I think, it's going to be case by case, but so far from what we've seen, and our Vice President of Exploration, Charles Funk, has done an excellent job of targeting these drill targets, and from what he's been telling me, for the most part, it seems like it's going to be from surface to start. There will probably be opportunity to be drilling from underground in the future, but as it stands right now, it's most likely from surface.
Yeah, and essentially you're looking for these blowouts. You've got, I don't know, whatever, X tens of kilometers of vein, but the idea is to find these blowout areas where you get better widths and better grades. Some of the stuff you reported already is 3, 4, 5, 6 meters, which is quite good for this sort of thing. Now, you're imminently, I guess, going to be announcing a placement. I mean, I'm not talking out of school. Everybody knows you're doing a placement. It's not a big secret. And it sounds to me from people I've talked to, you have a fair amount of interest. I mean, they're largish players sort of jumped on this thing right away from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think we're lucky that we have a team of our board of directors and advisors and people that are involved with the company from the beginning, and yourself included. We're lucky to have a good group of shareholders so far and a good group of capital market supporters. So we've been lucky enough to have significant interest in this financing. I think we'll only take a select amount, but it's something that we're looking to start quite soon here as a capital raise.
And I don't think I'm talking out of school either, because you've been pretty firm on this point every time I talk to you from day one. Your intent is to do a financing that's just straight share fund.
Yeah, straight share.
Yeah, I mean there's no warrant attached, so that sort of takes that whole trade the warrant thing out of that. And with the kind of money you're talking about, I mean your next payment's a year out, so you're thinking in terms of funding for 20,000 meter drill program, like fairly large.
Yeah, I think this is such a unique story because the outcome's already there. The outcome is either we buy the mill and the district, we go into production, or we're not impressed by what we found in the ground and we just walk away.
Yeah.
So far, I think the numbers shown that we're probably going to be impressed with what we have there. So the question for us is, okay, well, what do we need to do to justify the purchase of the infrastructure in the mill in 2 years?
Right.
Well, what we need to do is we need to drill or define a resource that would back that up and would give us the confidence, or a pathway to that. So we have a very clear, about a $5 million budget for what Charles and the team in Mexico need to do what we refer to as the discovery drill phase. That's about $5 million, and then after that it would be somewhere between 15 and 20 to do the definition drilling. So that's kind of our plan forward. And it's not a lot of companies could say, well, we only need to spend this much on drilling before we can decide if we want to move into the next phase.
Yeah, I mean this is a fairly straightforward defined path. I'm curious, do you have any idea what the historic, like, for the camp is? Does anybody know what the historic production is?
I think so, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that without.
Well, no, I mean
without
it's not a 43-101 number. It's just a historic. Yeah. This is what they think this camp.
It's really most likely in the hundreds of millions of ounces of silver.
Right. I mean that's kind of standard big silver camp in Mexico. That's usually those kind of numbers.
Now this is anecdotal and this is promotional, but I'll tell you one thing. It's one of the only churches in all of Mexico that the Pope is blessed and you're absolved from your sins if you enter it, because so much silver and gold is going back to the Vatican. So that's some anecdotal levels of production.
It's good to know. I'm going to do a field trip.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I got a few of those to get rid of.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's not go down that.
Yeah.
Okay. It's great to be able to sit down and talk to you, Mike. Vizsla Resources, VZLA on the venture. Are you working on getting an OTC set?
Yeah, we'll be doing OTC very shortly here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So VZLA on the venture, new company, very tight, very big project, great grades. You definitely want to be paying attention to this. Thanks very much.